Hey guys, Grandy Tamayas here, and by popular demand, again, I have returned to discuss DreamWorks' Ruby Gillman, Teenage Kraken. Be advised, I have more videos like this planned for the near future, which will be added to my new Ruby Gillman playlist. So be sure to subscribe if you'd like to keep up with that, and check out my first two videos if you haven't already. Today though, I want to discuss a little theory I have about the character of Agatha Gillman. This will end up being relevant for my next topic, so I wanted to get this out of the way first for context. The family drama between Agatha and her mother, Grandmamah, stems from the age-old conflict of a parent trying to force their child to grow up into a life that the child doesn't want. It's present between Agatha and her daughter Ruby as well, which drives the main plot of the film, but between Grandmamah and Agatha, we only ever get mentions of it. After Agatha finds out Grandmamah had been training Ruby to fight in the ways of the Kraken, the two get into an argument, and Agatha says this.
You still think I was scared to fight? You think it was easy to start over? To risk everything? I never stopped fighting. I fight for my family. I fight for who I love. You just love to fight!
And the film makes it no secret before this that Grandmamah has something of a rage problem, which is why she loves fighting. Not only does her son Bro call her a warlord,
that guy's terrifying, and I live with a warlord.
Grandmamah herself even mentions going to therapy for her rage issues.
Don't worry, I go to therapy now. I see a wise hammerhead shark on Wednesdays and Fridays, and I've let my rage go.
She also brags about the efforts of other sea monsters who have attempted to seize the throne.
Brag alert! They never succeeded.
By comparison, Agatha is more of a pacifist for the duration of the film, but this is in defiance of what we're told in the scene before this, where she tells Ruby,
Ruby, I get it. You're angry, you want to fight. So did I when I was your age, but trust me, this is the wrong fight.
And even earlier during Grandmamah's exposition scene to Ruby, she tells her how Agatha had become the greatest warrior in the Kraken Kingdom, single-handedly defeating the mermaid queen Nerissa by wresting the trident of Oceanus out of her hands.
I called it her queen-making moment.
It's also worth noting that in at least two storyboards, Agatha had been given the nickname Siren Slayer during the war between the Krakens and mermaids, so she clearly built up a reputation. All seems to be going well for Agatha, but things suddenly changed when she passed up a chance to end the war for good, allowing Nerissa to survive and plot her revenge for later in the movie.
We had a chance to crush the mermaids forever, but your mother hid the trident away, left her kingdom, left her kind, all to play hero.
And so Agatha, along with her husband and infant daughter, moved to the quaint little town of Oceanside, California, and for the next 15 years, raised her family, leaving her days of fighting behind her. At least until Nerissa returned, disguising herself as a teenage mermaid named Chelsea, and befriending Ruby. So what exactly happened between when Agatha defeated Nerissa and her abandoning the Kraken Kingdom? How does this relate to her having a falling out with her mother and giving up fighting? And, perhaps most perplexingly, why did she spare Nerissa's life? Well, to partially answer the first question, Agatha herself says,
We left the ocean because of a mermaid.
And in the film's art book, co-director Farron Pearl says that being powerful made Agatha a target, specifically for the mermaids. So this probably relates back to her nickname Siren Slayer that I mentioned a moment ago, and implies that she'd be putting her family in danger if they stayed in the ocean. That certainly explains her quote in that scene, but what it doesn't explain is why she didn't kill Nerissa before that. If she had, wouldn't the threat of the mermaids have no longer been present? You might think so, but unless she were able to bring about their complete extinction, another mermaid might just come back later and become just as big, if not a bigger problem than Nerissa was. And wouldn't you know it, this is exactly what happens in an earlier draft of the film. In one of those same storyboards I showed earlier and discussed in more detail in a previous video, Nerissa and Chelsea at one point were separate characters, being mother and daughter. And Agatha had actually killed Nerissa during the war, leading Chelsea to seek revenge. So the mermaids were still going to be a threat to the ocean, the Kraken Kingdom, and Agatha's family, whether Nerissa had lived or not. And it doesn't even matter that they're separate characters either, since Chelsea/Nerissa does mention other mermaids are in hiding, so one of them could have simply come out of hiding and tried to kill Agatha, and re-establish the Mermaid Kingdom themselves. In other words, Agatha killing Nerissa would have created a power vacuum. But wait, you might be saying, that still doesn't explain why Agatha spared Nerissa's life in the final cut. And what does this have to do with Grandmamah and fighting? Well, there's one other detail that I haven't mentioned yet, and it goes back to that exposition scene. Grandmamah states that there are only 3 giant Krakens left on the entire Earth: herself, Agatha, and Ruby. And with the visual aid of the stained glass artwork, she exposits what happened to the other giant Krakens.
We formed the front lines against her, and for that, we paid a terrible price.
Knowing that the power to become a giant kraken is unique to Ruby's family, that means all of these krakens that we see killed were most likely Agatha's sisters, cousins, aunts, and or other female relatives. And this has a lot of implications, some of which are probably beyond the scope of this video. But my theory is that, in addition to all the other reasons that the krakens were at war with the mermaids, Agatha wanted to avenge her relatives whom Nerissa had killed, and I'm sure Grandmamah would have been in full support of that, being that her warlike tendencies may have influenced the way Agatha was raised, and made her aspire to be a great warrior in the first place. But here's where I take this theory into a moral question. After all the fighting and killing of other mermaids that it probably took for Agatha to get to Nerissa, would it have really been worth it to kill her too, when revenge would not bring back those that she had lost? Though her family still would have been at risk in the long term, Agatha had disarmed Nerissa of the only weapon powerful enough to kill a giant kraken, so she showed her mercy and let her go. It certainly adds a lot of depth to Agatha's character, but I think I like the storyboard version better, because it takes the extra step of implying that Agatha had not realized this until after killing Nerissa, and so she had remorse, which could have given her an extra character flaw to explore. And the storyboard even goes as far as having her try to empathize with Chelsea so that she doesn't make the same mistake. As far as the final version is concerned, though, I could see this also being a factor in why Grandmamah and Agatha had a falling out, which would make sense with Grandmamah's response in this exchange.
The difference is, I didn't raise my daughter to be a reflection of my glory.
Well, that's certainly true. You raised her to run away and hide.
She would have been so proud of her daughter for avenging their dead relatives, but Agatha couldn't bring herself to do it. So Grandmamah criticized that mentality and saw Agatha's departure and renounced to fighting as just running away and hiding, which also explains the Gillman family motto.
Hiding is surviving. That's the Gillman family motto.
And Ruby's idea with Chelsea to end the conflict on the basis of
no fighting,
No hiding.
And that's my theory. Honestly, I think it makes sense and makes the family drama more interesting. But I can understand why the filmmakers didn't dwell on the Kraken versus Mermaid War and those relatives that Ruby never got to know. It probably would have been too dark. Feel free to let me know in the comments. Why do you think Agatha gave up fighting? Do you think the deaths of the other giant Krakens had any influence on Grandmamah and Agatha's decisions? And did Agatha make the right choice by sparing Nerissa's life? Like I said, I have more Ruby Gillman videos planned, but if there's a topic that you'd like to see, I'm open to suggestions. And if you'd be interested in keeping up with me and my community outside of these videos, you can join my Discord server and follow me on Twitter. Links to both will be in the description. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed, have a nice day, and thank you for your time.